Hello, boys and girls. This is Miss Donna. I'm very glad to see you. I have missed you. We haven't been together for several days, but I hope you've had a very good time of resting, sleeping in, of playing, and maybe you had a whole lot to eat while you were home. But I'm glad that we're back because we've got some more artwork to make. All right, so boys and girls, the next project we're going to do I decided to do because of a very good reason. A few days ago in Nashville, it snowed. Yes, it snowed and it didn't stick to the ground really, but we did get to see it falling. And boys and girls, in Nashville, we don't get very much snow, so when we do, it's pretty exciting. But now that I know that you've seen it, I can now do something with art that you will understand what we're doing. So if you've never seen snow before, then you would not be able to know really what it looked like or felt like. But boys and girls, now that you have, it means that the next project that we're going to do has something to do with snow. Yes, our next project is going to be making a snowman. Now, boys and girls, this is going to take a little while. We will not finish all of it today, but we're going to get a good start on it, and we're going to take time to get all of our supplies ready. So what I want you to do is look at it. You will be able to see our snow is actually made up of little tiny pieces of paper. We have some ground here that was colored with marker and crayon, and I used some different things to decorate my snowman. Now, boys and girls, your snowman will look like your own. It does not need to look like mine. In fact, we don't want it to. We want it to only look like yours. So I'm going to put this away, and I want you to get ready to listen because the very next thing we're going to do is we're going to make some snow. Yes, we're going to make some snow. So I'm going to put this right here. All right, boys and girls, you're going to need a piece of white paper. It does not have to be all one piece. It can be just parts or smaller pieces of paper that you use, which is how we've done some other things on our art videos. But if you happen to have some white paper, if you need to put me on pause, you can go ahead and do that. Just put me on pause and I'll sit right here and wait for you while you go get your white paper, okay? All right, so I'm just gonna sit and wait for you. Glad you're back. Okay, now boys and girls, what I'm going to do with this white paper is I'm going to tear it into little pieces like this. And you're going to kind of need a lot, but this is what it looks like. So I'm going to use a piece of scrap paper to tear. So I'm just going to tear a chunk off like this, and I'm going to tear little pieces. They don't have to be super little, but you know, that's about the right size. They can be a little bigger than that. It's up to you, but you know, we don't want like real big pieces like this, okay? Boys and girls, what we are going to make is called a collage. A collage. We are making our snowman using a collage way of doing it. Now, a collage, it sounds like a fancy word, but it's not. A collage is just something, the steps that we follow to create a piece of artwork. And those steps include glue and almost always paper, but we can glue other objects. So it's gluing down things onto a flat piece of paper to make a piece of artwork. It's a collage, not hard. It is not hard. All right. I think I have enough pieces. All right, so now I had torn a lot of these ahead of time, so you're going to need kind of a lot. Oopsie. Yep, you know by now, boys and girls, that Miss Donna does make a mess. Okay, Now, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your white paper, and this is all one piece, but yours can be separate pieces. It's just whatever you have at home, okay? All right, so on this piece of white paper, with a pencil or a marker or anything that you want to draw with, you're going to make 3 circles. You're going to make a big circle, a medium circle, and a small circle. All right? So take a moment, put me on pause again, and make your circles. Okay? Now they do need to be, kind of big, taking up a lot of the page. Okay? So go ahead and do that, and I will wait for you. All right, we're back. So right now I have my 3 circles. I have my paper, which I spilled on the table again. And now the next thing we need is our glue. Boys and girls, if you have this kind of glue, this is what I would rather you use, the liquid glue. If you have this kind of glue, that's okay too, but you're going to have to use a lot of it, okay? So for now, I'm going to use this glue first, and this is what I'm going to do. Now, boys and girls, this is my table, and I'm going to do it flat first, and then I'll try to lift it up and show you, okay? So I am going to start with my big circle, and I'm going to take my glue. I'm going to let it go all the way down to the tip, tap, 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 which if, boys and girls, when we made our leaves at school, we used this kind of glue. So I'll bet you anything you remember how to use it, okay? All right, so I'm going to take my glue, and I'm going to squeeze it out, and I am going to kind of do this with it so that my glue goes everywhere. Now, you don't need a lot of glue. You can take whatever glue's on there that you put on there. If you can see it, there you go. And you can take it without squeezing your bottle. Just use the tip of your bottle to kind of smooth it around, just like that, okay? Now, here's the next thing I'm going to do. I'm going to take my pieces and I'm going to pick up one piece at a time. Let me see if I can show you. And I'm going to glue it right on the paper. Now, it's okay if you take a few pieces and you put it on there like this. But we don't want them to be on top of each other. We want them to be right next to each other so that the whole circle is filled in. Now, I'm not going to take time to do that whole thing because you know what I'm talking about. Cover up the line that you drew, and you're just going to keep putting them on until the whole thing is full. It's okay that you get it on your finger. In fact, it kind of helps a little bit if you get a little bit on your finger to smooth it out, and it helps when you pick up your little pieces. That's kind of my trick. I get a little bit of glue on my finger, and I just do this. All right, now, I did not fill up the whole thing, okay, because I want us to go on to the next step. But yours, when you're finished, will have lots of pieces just like this, okay? And you're going to fill up all 3 circles, okay? And that'll take some time. Your helper can definitely do it with you. And when you finish, you're going to take this, and this is still wet, and you're going to just put it to the side and leave it alone and let it dry. Now, if you are using this kind of glue, you will kind of do the same thing. You will put this on the circle, but you're going to have to put it on real thick because this kind of glue It's just not as strong as the other kind. I just put one right there. And so you'll kind of need a lot of it. All right, so boys and girls, you'll do these the same way and fill it up. I only put a few on there just to show you. Okay, now we are done with that part, and we're going to let that dry. You're going to let it dry, and you aren't going to touch it. You're just going to leave it alone and let it do its thing. Okay, now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your paper, whether it's a paper like this or a paper like this, and you're going to start at the bottom, or the bottom part of the paper, or you can come up a little ways if you want to, but all you're going to do is you're going to tear it very slow so you can kind of guide your paper, and it's going to look something like this. Yes, it's going to look something like this. Now, we need this. This is a very important piece because guess what? It's going to be the ground that your snowman stands on. Just like this guy. Just like this guy. All I did was I tore a piece of paper, just like I just did with you, and then I colored it in green with my markers, with crayons, whatever you have, boys and girls, okay? But it will take a little while to do it because it is a lot of coloring, and I want you to fill the whole thing in, okay? All right, now, you will see that I used different kinds of greens. I used some brown because sometimes the ground is really dirt. It just depends on how you want to do it. I want you to decide, okay? You decide. Now, boys and girls, I know that a lot of times I tell you, I will say to you, you decide. I want you to decide. Boys and girls, when you make a piece of artwork, it needs to be your artwork. We don't want it to look like mine. You don't want it to look like somebody else's. It needs to look like just yours so that your piece of artwork is different than everyone else's. If we do exactly what the other person does or what I do, then it isn't really your very, very own artwork. If you make all the choices, all the decisions about your artwork, then no one else's is going to look like yours. All right? So we want it to be your very, very, very own, which is why I say you decide about a lot of parts of the artwork that you make, okay? That's why I say that. I want you to decide, okay? All right, so boys and girls, the next thing I want to do is I want to tell you about next time we get together. Now, it may be that the next time we get together is done this way with a video where you can just turn on the video and we can do it together, and you can pause me if you need to. Or it might be that I'm doing it live, which means it's happening the same time and we're all really doing it together, okay? Well, there's some things that you have to have done before we get together next time. You have to, your gluing will be dry. This will be all colored in, so that's kind of your homework, is to get this all colored in with markers and crayons or whatever it is you can color it in with. You may even have some green paper that you want to fill in down here. Or I have another idea. You might want to go outside and find some leaves to glue on there to cover it up. That is totally up to you. That would be very, very cool, actually. Okay? So that's your homework. Glue the snow onto the circles and color this in, or glue the green things on here. Okay? Those are the two things that you need to do for next time. Okay, the third thing you need to do for next time is to gather some materials that you will need to decorate your snowman, because he's not done. We have to put him together. All right. So, let's look and see what's on our snowman, okay? And his little arm is falling off, but that's okay. I'll fix that later. Okay, so this is what he's got. The first thing we'll do is we will cut out our circles, which is actually something you can do before next time if you want to. When it's dry, you can cut them out, but I want you to save them, okay? All right, so we will be gluing our snowman together, and then our snowman needs some things, okay? So I gave the snowman eyes, a nose, a mouth, a scarf, some buttons, some arms. I gave him a hat, but I used things to decorate him that I just found around my house, which is what you will need to do. So let's look at a few things that you can use, okay? All right. While I'm thinking about this, I'm going to go ahead and give him a little glue to hold up his little arm, because the poor guy has a broken arm. There we go. We want to fix that. All right, so let's talk about the face of the snowman. Let me show you what I used. So many different things. All right. So boys and girls, in these little cups, I have some ideas for you. You don't have to use any of them. These are just things I had around my house. You will find things that you have at your house, which means it might be very different from what I found, but it'll be your own things for your own piece of artwork. Okay, so for my snowman's eyes, I used coffee beans. Now maybe you don't have any coffee beans around your house, but that's okay. That's what I used. For my snowman's mouth, I used some very dark rice, because that's what I had. So I used that. That is rice. Any kind of rice. For my snowman's buttons, I used raisins. Yes, raisins. So you might have some of that. For my snowman's arms, I used some little branches. I went outside and I found some little branches. Okay? That's what I used for my snowman's arms. For his scarf, because, well, a snowman is cold because he's made of snow. So he needed a scarf. So I took some cloth and I just cut it and I glued it around his neck like a scarf. Easy to do. For his hat, I used papers from some junk mail I got. Some papers. And I thought, oh, I like that piece. I like that color. So I just cut it out and I made him a hat because his head is cold and needed a hat. Okay. That's what I used. But let me give you a few more ideas of what you might be able to find around your house. Boys and girls, just about anything will work as long as you can glue it. If it's something really, really heavy, the kind of glue we're using may not work. Okay, so it needs to be something that you can glue. So for example, for the snowman's face or nose or mouth or whatever, I also found some little seashells. They're not heavy and they can be glued, but they're small enough, and I wish I could show them to you in a better way, that they could work. So if you have those, definitely try using those. For arms, if you don't have any trees around your house, what about a toothpick? You might have a toothpick. You might have a birthday candle. That would make a great looking arm. I should say. All right, those are just some ideas. I also found a pine cone, and I peeled off some of the pieces, and I don't know, they don't weigh hardly anything, so you could glue them, and you could use them for any of those things. You could even maybe glue it to the top of his head and give him some hair or some ears. Why not give your snowman some ears? So many different things you can do. What about some beans? What could I use these for with my snowman? I could use them for buttons, for eyes, for the mouth, for anything. I can use some little tiny leaves for buttons or for anything, as long as they can glue, and these are nice and small. I showed you this before, but why couldn't I use this as a tree to glue on there? Anything, boys and girls, anything at all. Anything works. If you have some real buttons at home, those might work too. They don't weigh very much, and so they definitely could be glued. All right. So many ideas, so many ideas. Now, here's the next thing. If you don't feel like you don't have any of these things, or if you can't find something that would work for, let's say, a nose or a hat or something like that, you can draw it. You can just draw it on a piece of paper. Now, if you can't find anything for the eyes, just with your marker, just draw some eyes, cut them out. I used for my snowman's nose, I really, really wanted to use a carrot for his nose. And of course, I don't have a carrot that small. Although we didn't talk about food using some fruit or something. What if I took a little tiny sliver of carrot, real carrot, and had glued it on there? So there are so many different ways you can do it. But let's go back to this. If you want to draw these things, you can. If you want to draw a hat, if you want to give your snowman a crown or maybe some crazy hair, absolutely. If you want to just draw the scarf, just draw it as best you can, color it in, cut it out, glue it, we'll glue it on. If you want to use something like this for the arms, that's up to you. So you can definitely do it this way too, okay? All right, let's put this away. I think that's all, boys and girls. For today, I think it is. I know that's a lot of information, but boys and girls, if we don't take the time to get all of our supplies together for next time, then we might lose a lot of art time just trying to find things. So let me hold this up, this list. Now, helper, I'm going to go over this in case it isn't very clear, but I will also, with this video, I will include this list of things. But let's go over what we're going to need for next time. We're going to need our glue. We might need a pencil. We're going to need our white paper, a piece of dark paper, which we didn't talk about. Let me do that real quick. I happen to have some of this kind of paper at home. You don't have to have this. If you have white paper, you can also color it in a dark color. We did that. We talked about doing something like that. In another video, if you don't have a certain color, you just color a piece of white paper the color that you want it and use that. Or if you want to use, like if you have some junk mail at home, for example, you can use this kind of paper for the background. That's totally up to you, okay? So let's go back to this. You will need your scissors, markers, crayons, which you will need to color in your grass. Or if you're going to draw the items to decorate your snowman, you will need your markers or crayons for that. And here's the last thing, items to decorate your snowman. So we have things like sticks, cloth, buttons, seeds, beans, pasta, leaves, rice, toothpicks, seashells, and here's the last part, and more and more and more. I'm going to put this closer to you so you can get a closer look at it. Again, I will include this list with the information for this YouTube video link online so that you will have it that way too. All right, so boys and girls, let's go over real quick what you need to have done for next time, okay? You need to have done the gluing of your 3 circles with your torn paper, okay? If you want to, you can go ahead and cut it out as well after it's dry. You also need to have finished coloring the ground. Now, boys and girls, you may just want to leave it white, like snow. But if you do that, go ahead and glue some of your white paper snow onto it, okay? All right, so you will need those things done for next time. That's going to be real important. And then if that's done, we can jump right in to the next part of our art project, okay? All right, boys and girls, that is all for now. Thank you for being good listeners. Thank you for just loving artwork and for just doing this with me today, okay? So I will see you next time. Bye.